Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the charts when there is fear and are cautious when there is greed. Today, we are going to be taking a look at Bitcoin, the rainbow chart, fear and greed index, all that stuff, as well as technical analysis. So let's first start off with fear and greed. I'm a little surprised to see that it's still up here on this site at 67. If I had to guess, just with the way Bitcoin has been going today, which is just down, 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 I would not be surprised to see the crypto fear and greed dip down a bit more. As you can see, we've been in this downtrend really since early March. And if it got to somewhere around 50, that would not be shocking to me. This 60,000 level is very important and it's going to have to hold. Otherwise, we could be seeing next levels as low as 52, something like that. We'll get more into that later. Taking a look at the macro here on the fear and greed, you can see that the recent spike in greed, we've only been there a couple times before, and one was a mid-cycle top in 2019. I'll show you where that is right here. The other time it spiked up, I'll go back to it, was when in late 2020, Bitcoin was making a new all-time high past the 2017 all-time high. So right here was the last time greed was higher than it was before. Now, the true all-time high that it got to was in April, and as you can see, even on the greed index, it can still come down a little bit. That's fine. Bitcoin had about a 50% correction to around 30,000 and made its eventual all-time high around 69,000, which of course is what we just broke. So again, fear and greed, Bitcoin, this was that April all-time high that we got to, and when it spiked up again, that's where it was. So that recent spike, that's because we did make new all-time highs for the first time ever before the halving, and now that we had the halving, maybe we're going to get a little bit of a correction down into the green and the light green zone. I mean, just taking a look at this right here, if we take a look, this is late May. Let's maybe go to mid-May. There we go. Here's what I would be eyeing personally. The two green boxes, anywhere between 41,000 and 70,000. If I had to guess, we're going to be in that range, at least for another month. That's my guess. I think the higher and lower part of those boxes you can see there, around 54,000, 53, 54. That's the area where I think we could see our next bottom. We'll see if that happens, and I'll get more into that later. But just to give you a little preview so you guys know why I'm thinking that, right now if I go to the daily and take a look at the moving averages, right now the 100 moving average, which is this blue line, we have wicked lower than we have in any of these other situations here. So even this wick back here, for as low as it got, we just recently wicked price a little lower. So if we do close under this roughly 60,000 level, then I would be taking a look at this 200. The dark blue line is the 200 moving average. And as you can see, we have price structure, we have the 786 fib line, this light blue line, we have this price structure, and we have the 200 moving average. That's a lot of technical price support that I think if we did get underneath, I would look for a very solid bounce from there. But anyways, going back to the Bitcoin rainbow chart, there's been a couple thoughts on when the peak of Bitcoin's coming. Some people are thinking later this year, and possibly 4-year cycle. And if we take a look at 4-year cycle predictions, so we can go here and look December of 2013, 4 years from that, December of 2017, 4 years from that, or 3 years, 11 months, we had a top in November. And so let's say it's another 3 years and 11 months, okay? And from that top, if we did make a top, then we'd be looking at October of 2025. And conservatively speaking, you can see here the price got all the way up into the maximum bubble territory. But last time it got up into the sell seriously territory, as well as the upper part of the FOMO intensifies. And Bitcoin, altcoins, they do have diminishing returns over time. Not to say that you can't make crazy good profits, but there is diminishing returns. So conservatively, I look at this orange band, the third band down, when I try to think of possible price predictions. And again, going over to mid-October, if we believe in the 4-year cycle, and I'll give a couple, I'll show on the charts a couple things to watch for, because for me, again, I don't want to get caught up in predicting. I want to be able to react to when the prices are low, and I feel comfortable dollar cost averaging in. I can do that, and I am doing that. And when the prices are high and they're peaking in a certain way, that I know that it's time to get out and take some profits. Anyways, taking a look at that orange box, you can see that range there. Bitcoin would be between 185,000 and 238,000 in a 4-year cycle. Something I talked about in my last video was the average amount of time it takes from the halving, or I'm sorry, not the halving. The halvings are the white lines, by the way, from when Bitcoin creates a new all-time high to the very peak. Okay, I talked about that. When Bitcoin creates a new all-time high, it was a little bit earlier this time. It happened before the halving. And what we did is we added those numbers together and we averaged them out. And again, this isn't going to be exact, but that's where this green line is. And I think it's kind of ironic, or maybe even a coincidence, because a lot of people who I've seen making their theories of price predictions, which again, that's kind of a not good game to play, because it's very easy to get wrecked. That's why the disclaimer at the beginning of the video, there's no amount of past data that can prove exactly when and where a price is going to be. If there was, we'd be billionaires. But if you take a look at the yellow lines, this is when Bitcoin creates a new all-time high on this yellow line, when we break a prior all-time high from before, during that cycle, okay? Now, from the prior all-time high to the new all-time high, what I did is I added up those numbers together and divided them, and I'll just show you really quick. So from the yellow line to the new all-time high, that was 273 days, okay? And then from, again, the yellow line to the red line, which is the new top, where we ended up, plus 280 days, okay? Then we have one more. And from the yellow line to the November top, right here, 343 days. Okay, if we take those three numbers, it's 896. I'm doing this on my phone. You'll have to trust me, bro. Divide that by 3 and we get 298 days, 299 days. Okay, and so what I did, I just measured that out, said, okay, from the day we made new all-time highs, around 300 days, or 298, 99 days, gets us towards the end of December. So, we have these two lines here. The red line, I could move over a bit more. I think the red line I did that was from the average amount of time from the halving to new all-time highs. And I think that's where the red line ended up. And so anyways, let's say we did have an all-time high later this year, and that was that, okay? And things are different this time around. Where would that put our prices? Well, that would put our prices, I'll just go like late December, maybe even mid-December. Here we go. Again, that orange box, Bitcoin being 144,000 to 186,000, somewhere in there. So that's one way, taking a look at the rainbow chart and when a top can be. When we are getting into these orange to red boxes, that tends to be a very rare good time to take profits. And now we have these two exceptions very early on. And God, can you imagine if this happened today? Either of these situations where we just ran up like crazy into the orange box out of nowhere, where would that put us like by this summer? Like anywhere between 125, 162,000, and then came down a little bit. People would be freaking out if we ran to, let's say, 150,000 and then came down to, where's that green box? 60,000, just did over a 50% drop. Now that's what happened last time, and we made the eventual all-time high. But what I will say in here, the last time we had we had altcoins really running in here. And one of the ways that we can tell when it's alt season, well, a couple things. So that Bitcoin rainbow chart, blockchaincenter.net, shout out, not sponsored. They also have an altcoin index, and they have a few other indexes that you can look at over there. But when you go to the altcoin year index, and you can take a look at different frames, you go to the yearly, take a look at this now. I've been looking at this a lot lately because look here, we had 3 peaks for alt season here, later 21. Some altcoins did run later. Now, me personally, I was out by this time. I was out by May and taking profits in April. And it was, I'll be honest, it was hard not to get in here. And then it was hard not to get in here. And when things really fell off, I was happy about it. But we had these 3 peaks. Now, this one is a little lesser known. There were altcoins that did a 5 or 10x earlier on. Right? I remember that. It was like 2020 and late 2020. And, you know, it didn't feel, though, like the true alt season like we got in late 2017, early 2018 for a week. Okay. This one right here was really, for me, when it was alt season, because that's when on Coinbase you saw a bunch of the coins just going 10x, 20x. And something that you can watch is the Bitcoin dominance chart. Now, Bitcoin dominance, if you don't know, is the overall percent of money crypto money that's in Bitcoin. So right now we're at 55%. And taking a look here, when Bitcoin dominance tanks to this low 40 percentile, and you can see here, take a look at this. We had 1, 2, 3.5 weeks, because by January 8th, that's the day that was like, what do they call it? Black Tuesday or whatever for the Great Depression, I forget. But we had 3-4 weeks, and all of a sudden everything just fell off a cliff. So if you would have been tracking dominance and as it tanked, it would have shown you a good time to get out. And then last time, that proved to be true. Now, Bitcoin dominance really started tanking, and we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. By the middle of May, that's when Bitcoin really started to fall off. So, you know, if you think anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months is roughly my guess. Okay, and right here, I'll show you guys again. This is mid-May. This is when we were falling off. And I'll just show you guys, you know, from that peak to how low Bitcoin got is a 50% drop. All right, so something to keep in mind. And then as far as Bitcoin, the time before, you can see here, made that top in early, middle December. But again, the altcoins, I'll never forget, it was late December, early January, when you are in alt season and your garbage coin, whatever it is, whether it's utility, Web3, decentralized, blah, 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 when it's going up 20x, you're kind of dumb not to take profits if it does that inside of a couple weeks. And that's what's happened the last couple times around. So is that going to happen again? If I had to guess, I'd say, yeah. You know, that's part of my thesis, what I'm betting on. And there's a couple things you can do to track that. Now, before I get there, I showed you how Bitcoin dominance, when that falls, that's when we know it's alt season. So if you're dollar cost averaging in, and of course, do your research and never invest more than you're willing to lose. And I talk a lot on this channel about how time in the market's more important than timing the market. So you can get good moving averages. I have an indicator with buy-sell signals. So those are important too. Something I've noted before with the RSI, I don't want to forget about this. I forgot about this on my last video. I also talked about a while ago the Tether dominance market cap. And when you guys might already be seeing this, when I have this trend line that I drew, and whenever, let me put that on auto so we can see, whenever the Tether dominance hits this trend line, okay, that's when we had the 2017 top. When it hit that trend line, I know there's some moving averages. Let's hide those for a second. There we go. When it hit the line again, that was the 2019 mid-cycle top, the one I showed you before. You guys remember that? That was here, okay? And then when it hit that trend line again, or got really close to it, that was the peak before the COVID dump. And then when it got there and stayed there, Okay, and watch the RSI, how it stayed under the 50 line. As soon as it hit the 50, look at that date again, May 10th. Okay, that signaled the end of this local top when it crossed above 50. That's when it went down. And then the second Bitcoin top again, when it hit that tether dominance line. Okay, again, we are under 50 here on the weekly. And we've been away from this for, God, how long have we been away from this trend line? For, God, 854 days? That's crazy. That's how long we've been away from it. So it's the first time touching it. Now, I had a theory or a hypothesis before that as long as we stayed under the 50 relative strength index, and maybe, we'll come back under and stay under, for a while longer. Said as long as we stayed under this 50, it's possible that maybe we're making a new peak for Bitcoin. Now, we did just make a new all-time high, a new peak, but it looks like we are very fast. I talked that this might happen because it's happened before. We are very fast approaching that 50 line. And as soon as we're above it, I think that confirms that it is going to be a little while again until we might get the true possible bull run where it's alt season and all that. As you can see, we had 2 fake outs last time. Okay. Are we going to have now? If this is a fake out, cool, that's fine. As prices go down, we can dollar cost average in more where there's opportunity. So if we get above the 50 on the RSI, I think that's going to give us more time to get in. Right now, things are looking bearish. We have the S&P 500, it went down 80 points. That's a lot. Okay, the Dow Jones down 570. Okay, look at the percent, 1.5%. Just going over to the stocks, taking a look at how much things have gone down. And even though stocks and crypto, aren't all the same unless you look at miners, stocks have gone down 6% and they might even go down more. So if stocks are looking bearish in the micro, short, medium term, crypto tends to do something pretty similar. Let's take a look at the moving averages thrown back on. So that's just something to watch for. Another indicator that you can use to know or have a better idea of if it's the peak of the run, there's this indicator called the Pi Cycle Bitcoin High Low. Oh, I have to take away the RSI. I'm on the free version, guys. I do all this for fun, using the free version. If I ever, get enough views, maybe I'll consider paying for it, but whatever. Pi Cycle High Low. And what you'll notice here is that it's pretty close to calling the high and the low. Please ignore my fibs I have going on here. The high, the low. The high, the low. This would have messed people up. Seeing a Pi Cycle high, a low never came, and then a new high. So anything's possible. Do know indicators aren't everything. But if you use this indicator, that might be something to show you, or to check for, if we're at a high or low. Now, what is interesting is that on the weekly, we got up to the Pi Cycle high line, this moving average, the long moving average, and just started to go sideways and down. And there's another asset that I watch that I see similar things happen with, and that's NVIDIA. That when NVIDIA's gotten up to the line, it might crawl and then get away from it, get above, crawl, it went to that fib line, got away from it, even before. So a lot of times, even the best moving assets in the world, usually when they hit that long MA, they'll start to get away from it. But it's when they start to get above and stay above, that's when that Pi Cycle high or low can really trigger. So do know that that's an indicator that you can use as well. Okay, but it's not time yet. It's simply not time. And, right now, I think we are getting into great territory for dollar cost averaging in some of your favorite altcoins. So I like to do videos on altcoins available on Coinbase, Robinhood. I haven't done some in a while. Things have been busy in my life, so I've been trying to put out videos that the people want each week, at least get to, the Bitcoin mining videos and the Bitcoin rainbow chart videos. That's what you guys seem to enjoy the most. So at the very least, I'll do that even if I'm sick or life's busy or whatever. But I want to show you a couple things that might be some bullish, or I want to show you some things that might lead you to feel a little bit bullish. Now, of course, when things are going down, that sucks. Yes, on the surface it does. However, when things are going down, guys, here at Market Psychology 101, I want you to be excited about lower price opportunities to buy. And please do not try to, like with that pi cycle high low, you don't have to get too obsessed with pinpointing the bottoms. Okay, if you make a plan, and I implore you, please write down a plan after you do your research. Technical analysis, it isn't everything, it isn't the only thing, but it is another tool in our toolbox. If on your plan, when you're looking to buy a deep value, you can say, for example, hey, if there's an asset I like and it's under the 100-day moving average, I might dollar cost average in. If it's under the 200, might dollar cost average in it. Maybe you take a look at these buy and sell signals, okay? There's a couple indicators I use for that. One's the 10, 20 moving average crossover with Fibonacci signals. It's more of a leading indicator. This UT bot alert one is more of a lagging confirming indicator. I like to use that one on the macro for very safe investments. Now, for me personally, and again, not financial advice, just my opinion, I like to look on the weekly and monthly on when to buy. Okay. Now, on the weekly, you can see we had a sell signal. We're going down, and we have the 20 moving averages right here around 56,000. Okay. And I won't get into why I drew those lines. I did that in another video a while ago. Not relevant right now. So when you go to the daily time frame, by the way, when you click this 5-year, that puts us on a weekly. Okay, when we go to the daily, which you can change up there, you can go to the 1 year, 1 day interval. I do want my channel to be a place where we can teach each other things as well, myself included. So if there's any tips, insight you guys want to share, I want this channel to be a place where we can all help each other grow, where we're open-minded and check our biases. When we really believe in something, that we're open-minded to other possibilities. I've told people about the rainbow chart and how, 200K seems like a very aggressive high to me that, for 2025, I have a hard time thinking about that. Somebody said, I think 300K, and they shared their reason, and that was something I really considered. So we do have to keep an open mind, especially with crypto. But you can see here, as we've wicked lower than even back here, maybe we can get down to this 200 moving average. And on the daily is when I try to get a sneak peek on, if we're getting some structure to possibly get a turnaround, okay? And right now, you can see we are creating lower lows compared to here and lower highs compared to there, okay? So right now, this is a lower low we just made today. And when Bitcoin, I don't know where it's going to stop selling off, but wherever it does, as it starts going higher, if it does get above this price of 67,000, okay, then maybe we are accumulating or changing the direction of the trend. All right, that's something you can take a look at. When you go to any of the altcoins, all right, let's take a look at Link, for example. On the daily, it's below these moving averages. If we go to the weekly, okay, you can see that, hey, some of these are resting at the 50-week moving average. Maybe they wick down to the 100. Again, that's the light blue line. What's your plan? I'm just going to ask you rhetorically, what is your plan? Where do you feel comfortable dollar cost averaging into the altcoins you like and believe in? Because I know what happens with a lot of you guys, and I'm guilty of doing this in 2017, before I learned as much as I did, is that, we're really excited up here, okay? And we don't get excited when things are falling down. And we get excited again when it's up here. But when things are falling, we're not as excited. And we're like, well, this sucks. I guess I'm holding a bag for a while. When in fact, these could be great opportunities to buy and dollar cost average in an amount that you are comfortable with. Okay. Myself personally, I have a budget of X amount of money that I can or can't put into stocks and crypto. And I never try to chase anything. If I'm getting this greedy feeling, I even take a day before pulling the trigger because I want to make sure that I'm not being greedy, I'm not chasing, and that I'm buying at good value. And a lot of times we have to fight that instinct in us that when all the news is good and everyone's feeling great, prices are going up, we have to fight that good feeling of dumping in more money. When the feelings are bad, when it's negative, those might be good times to buy and dollar cost average in. So things like Link, IMX, ACH, Ethereum, etc. You can see on the weekly, some of these might be getting to lower fib levels or moving averages. And for me, I really like looking at the weekly. If something is looking strong on the weekly, I like it. And some of you more aggressive guys, maybe you like the daily. And looking at the daily is good enough. Now, if you're looking at the fibs, by the way, how I draw a fib, so here's the fib retracement right there. I draw from the prior high to the low, and then the fib levels pop up. Now, sometimes you have to, I can tell this one's not on log. For looking at longer term scales, I put on log, okay, and then you get more of a true sense of where it is. So for Ethereum here, we could take a look at the moving averages and the fibs. You can see that Ethereum, that we're down at the 100-day moving average, and next is the 200-day moving average, and then we have this fib support. Should we get under that? Just kind of like we did with Link. Okay, with Link, we're under our moving averages. We got down to this fib level here. I think it's what is it, the 382? Okay, but we go to the weekly and we have the 100-week moving average and the 382. So anytime there's fib levels, a good strong moving average, like I showed you with Bitcoin, if there's price structure support, like I showed you guys on the daily. Let's go back to that. On the daily at 52K, we have fib level, price structure support, moving average. If we get down there, I'm like, hey, this might be a great time to buy. So anyways, that's where we are with the rainbow chart. And let's finish with that. Okay. I wish I would have done this last time. As you can see, when we're down in these zones, tends to be a decent time to dollar cost average in. Now, maybe with the buy sell signal, you take a look for some green and you possibly catch, buy signal on the way back. All right. Now, with this rainbow chart, you can see we've been spending a lot of time in this green zone, even peaked into the yellow a little bit. So if Bitcoin, let's just say mid-May, gets down into that accumulate zone, okay, the third bar up, this is where I'm going to close for today, I promise. If by mid-May or late May, let's just say mid-May, even late June, if we get down in that 42K to 55K level, that we haven't been in as good of a place to buy since, last October? Or no, earlier this year? Yeah, that's right. We had the Bitcoin ETF, and then we sold off. Sorry, I forgot about that. Okay, but we haven't been there for a few months. So if we get back there, that might be a really good area to dollar cost average in. Now, again, you have to ask yourself, do you believe in the crypto investments that you have? If you don't, then you shouldn't be in to begin with. If you're not willing to dollar cost average in more when the prices get to lower good levels, then you should have never bought it at a high level to begin with. Now, if you've done your research, okay, I know it sucks right now, but if you've done your research, you really like that asset, that crypto, then as it gets to lower prices, like I showed you guys, if we're getting in these lower levels, if it's hitting those fib levels, those moving averages, those can be great times to buy. Okay, and I'll show you it now, not an apples to apples comparison by any stretch. We could take a look at something like Apple, right? This is on the weekly. How often is Apple ever under the 100-week moving average to the 200? Now, right there, it's at a decent price, okay? But how often is it in between those moving averages? Not very often. And while it's going down, I guarantee you, people holding Apple stock, they're like, hey, this sucks. But it's not there quite often. Okay, so going back to altcoins, we can take a look at IMX here. Chainlink, it's been out a little bit more. Okay, now here, the 100 only goes back so far, but how often have we been under there? Well, in the bull trend, once, that was it. In the bear trend, it got under the 100 and it's been going down. It crashed underneath it. Okay. You might have to even zoom out to we barely have anything there other than on the monthly. The monthly got on the 50. I'm sure the 100 would be down there too. But going to the weekly, you could see that, hey, once it got above the 50, things are bullish again. And we have not been at the 50 since October, okay, when Link was at $7. Now the moving average is going up. And should it get under this 100 again, that overall tends to be a decent time to buy. But again, you don't want to catch a falling knife either. But you can look at possibly just dollar cost averaging in if you feel comfortable forgetting about it. Okay, maybe you forget about, whether it's red or green. You're like, hey, if these are the levels, or if these are the ranges I buy in, that's another way you could look at it too. But anyways, we're at about 30 minutes. Just trying to show you guys some reason for optimism. As we're here in the Bitcoin rainbow chart, I know it sucks to see Bitcoin go down 20, 25%, whatever it is, from the all-time high. Let's just take a look at it now that we're here anyways. How much has Bitcoin gone down from the new all-time high to where we are today? Okay, 20%. I know it sucks, guys, but we've talked about this before, that we've gone down from these peaks 22%, again, 20%. Didn't I say I was going to be done? 21%. This was the ETF approval right here. Went down 21%. Okay, and then we made new all-time highs, got above it, and then we've gone down 20%. This was the last very bottom, before this cycle started kicking up. Now we're at the 100 MA, so keep it in perspective. Try to see the forest through the trees, guys. And the fact that Bitcoin rainbow chart, we're not even in yellow right now. And if we get even under this green, just saying, might be a decent time to dollar cost average in. And who knows how much longer we have left. Should we get another crazy cycle like we have any of these times before, if you've done your research, you believe in it, and you've already bought, hey, if you really believe in it, it's possible, if we get one of these things again, that these next dips may be the last great opportunities for you to dollar cost average in. Okay, obviously none of this financial advice. Okay, these are just my opinions, and we have to be honest with ourselves and try to take a fair look at the charts. Even when things are bad or good, we want to, here in market psychology, we want to give reasons for and against in either situation. Just like we talk about with fear and greed. When there's greed, we want to be cautious. We want to caution ourselves. And now as fear is creeping back into the markets, now we can look for more opportunities because we don't want to miss that. Okay, that's what dumb retail money does. They miss those. And maybe we can get ourselves some better deals. So anyways, hope you're all doing well, having a wonderful week. Thank you for watching. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.